Okay, all right, good to see you all for this last class of the term. Um, hello, Austin. We are gonna start off today by going through anyone who hasn't presented yet will present first. And then I'll be talking through kind of some logistics for wrapping up the course and sharing kind of a few final reflections before we wrap up today. And so I have June, Austin, Dorji, Carissa, and Fabian have not presented yet. And so do we want to start off? I know Austin, you said that you have to hop off for a work meeting. Do you feel ready to start it off first? Oh, okay, he's gonna need a little bit of time. So do you want Dorji or June?
Okay, I can do. I can start.
All right. Would you like to? You can share your screen, or I can pull your presentation up and share it on this end.
Okay, let me see if I can share my screen there. I'm not sure if I can do it, but if I can't, maybe I would like to request you to maybe if I have your presentation with you.
Okay, not a problem. Yeah, I have them all loaded.
Okay, so maybe I will try to share my screen.
And what I do is I set the timer on my end and I let you know when there's about 1 minute left.
Okay, let me go with my screen.
Ooh, that's a lovely backdrop. Oh, perfect.
Are you seeing anything on my screen?
Yeah, we see it. It's in we see it with like the slides on the side too. But that looks really clear.
So it's visible to everybody.
Yeah, that looks good.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Thank you.
Maybe make it a little less big.
Yeah,
I think the size of it, I think. Yeah, oh, that's perfect.
Well, so let me start. I have only 5 minutes, isn't it? So my research is actually the topic of my research was actually impact of cutting down trees to erect prayer flags, and the objective of my social research was to find out the impact of cutting down trees to erect prayer flags when someone dies in the family. That is one a problem, and the other thing was to find alternatives to the problem and recommends to the concerned authorities, because sometimes it's very difficult to impose something on people, just like they're saying that you cannot erect prayer flags. This is very difficult, especially when it is related to culture. So you have to actually, this has to go to the policymakers and maybe see what they can do. This is one important factor. And the problem is in Bhutan, actually, Buddhists cut down young, trees to erect 108 trees during a death of a family in member. This is rampant in all districts where there is a Buddhist, and we have 75% of the country's population who are all Buddhist. But this has been going on for so long. And the question is, do we need to cut down trees to erect flags? Okay, that is one thing. The other one is, aren't there any other alternatives to trees? Because 75% of country's population are Buddhist, and can our forests last if the trend continues? Because this is going at an alarmingly, very high rate of cutting down trees, and this is going to really bring a lot of destruction to the forest. And then the other question is, what is the government's policy on minimizing the impact on our? That's to find out that. That was actually my research problem statement. And the methodology, as I said, I was actually going to do ethnography with participatory action research, because with these two methods together, I will have more option to actually find out the result. And the community that I have in focus is we have the community I'm focusing is the part of the country where there are maximum Buddhists. But however, the research proposal that I have proposed is to focus on one district, that is Thimphu. Thimphu is where I live, so this will make it easier for me to actually get data and meeting people, and this actually that's why I've actually focused on one district out of the 20 districts. But then from the 20 districts in Bhutan, we have about 15 or 16 districts which are all pure Buddhist there. And the tool for social change is the findings from the research shall be actually used as a tool to convince the policymakers. That's what I was planning to do. And I'm just trying to show you some pictures of Thimphu. If you can actually see the white patches there on those, the faces of the mountains are all prayer flags. And these are erected when people die, because you will see them in groups. I'll have also some other pictures this is example of one person's, the prayer flags erected for one death in the family. So you can see the number of flags there. But fortunately here, what you will see is the prayer flags are actually attached to bamboo. These are, I think, these are attached to bamboos. So this can be one alternative, because this is not popular in Bhutan. Everywhere is young trees, but not bamboos. But here I have been to a place where they are in the southern part of Bhutan, and I got this photograph from there. And I was just, inspired by how they did on the bamboo. And this was another alternative. And this is done in Thimphu. In one part of Thimphu, you can see this has a conical shape, and actually the prayer flags are actually attached to the strings and not on the trees. There's one tree erected in the middle, and then all 108 flags are actually attached to strings, and that forms a conical shape. Yeah, and then this is another alternative that I've seen, and this is also quite impressive. You will see the bamboo trees, bamboos being placed erected, and then you'll see these flags are all attached to strings, and they are also this is also a flag which is meant for a death in the family, and then they're also erected in the southern part of Bhutan, where I have actually gone to visit last month. This is another. These flags are not for death. Normally, these people also stretch flags just like that. But these prayer flags are actually for good fortune. So when somebody wants some good fortune, they think their energy is low and they need some positive energy. What they do is normally they erect prayer flags. But these are attached to strings and then tied. The two ends are tied on, trees, and you'll find a lot. That's why you'll find a lot of prayer flags. I think this is not from one person, but you can see there are a bundle of prayer flags. So it could be from a lot of people doing that in the same place, because normally prayer flags are erected where there's a lot of wind, and this is a place where you will find actually a lot of wind there. And yeah, that's all. These are some of the alternatives that I thought, and other than that, I think that's what I have for my research proposal.
Excellent, Dorji. Thank you. Especially, I appreciate too how you really, step through this idea of your research of, culture not being static, and how to really still acknowledge and honor the cultural practices, but that bringing together the, human system and ecosystem into a coupled relationship, and recognizing how, that while still maintaining those practices of how things continue to evolve and expand. And I very much appreciated your thoughtfulness and presentation. Okay, so we will go over. So we have June, Austin, and Carissa. Out of the three, does anyone want to volunteer to
One,
go next?
should I start? Should I
Yep.
give? Yeah.
Yeah, June, do you want to share your screen or do you want me to pull it up?
Yes, let me share my screen.
Okay.
Um, okay, my topic is sustainable agriculture. So the background is everywhere. The farm production has been reduced because of climate change and long time the chemical fertilizer uses. And furthermore, the fertilizer price has been increased almost every year, especially the Africa or some Asia who depend on the the Asian company, and they cause poor living condition, especially for smallholder farmer. So in this reason, we need to find and adapt the alternative way, which is named sustainable agriculture or natural farming whatsoever. So this research helps us to understand the community situation concerning of a conventional farming method and the perspective of sustainable agriculture. So central research question is how much do you know and apply about the sustainable agriculture? And are you willing to learn and adapt to sustainable agriculture? That I want to ask the community. So community, actually, I left the Malay. I've been in Malay 8 years, but as you know, I already left the location. But uh, otherwise, I don't have any other information out of the Malay. So I use uh, this the community. So I choose the community among the Malay, which is I know that is Choja community that is about 40 kilometers from the central city and the population 12,000 around it. And main production is maize and soya. And traditionally they have used chemical fertilizer and used the tillage, the methodology. And poverty, as you know, is low. And uh, the interesting is the average number of livestock is very low, especially some big the livestock, cow, pig is goat, chicken. Yes, it makes available, but the cow and pig is rarely you can see. So that causes uh, not able to make a compost too easily. That is one of the challenges in there. An average size of the land is 1 hectare, the half a hectare or 1 acre around it. But unless the even small holder farmer or poor farmer, they may have 1 acre of land in this thing. So this research I expect to help the community to aware current challenge in agriculture and benefit of sustainable agriculture. And to know what is a challenge to adopt a sustainable agriculture, so that it help to develop the application in practices, so applicable, develop applicable the methodology in community, because even there's so many methodology and theory of sustainable agriculture. Even name is very various, but it's difficult to adapt just one methodology in a certain community because the environment and challenge everything is very different. So we need to find and develop applicable methodology in that community. So there is research the propose. And the social research method proposed is are social mapping, transit work, field visit, seasonal calendar, daily work schedule, and trend. So social mapping is just general information, geographical and demographic and social economic condition. And trace work is something more in deeper, more detail the information we can collect. And during the transit work, we can realize how many percent, how many people they still use conventional daily agriculture. And field visit, I want to use this. We can discuss it and find the best farmer who try sustainable agriculture or something alternative ways of farming against the conventional. So we can decide and choose and to visit the farmer, the best farmer to learn the other knowledge. And seasonal calendar, we can know uh, what activity or what is the main event in that community seasonally, especially farmer. Uh, they may have a busy season and non-busy season that then we can, when we develop the plan, we can consider the schedule. And daily
Okay,
work
one more
schedule
minute,
is,
June.
yes, a diagram shows an individual daily life pattern. So especially we can compare the girl's boy, a woman, and the man or the child and adult. So we can consider again when we develop the plan and trend, the making record of significant community event, especially the before and after. Uh, we can see the impact of chemical fertilizer long-term uses. So that helped them to aware the situation. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Excellent. Well done, June. I loved I think June gives an excellent example too of looking at the kind of the suite of research methods that really complement each other. And sometimes, you know, when you lay it out like that, it can seem like a lot, but the way that you've organized it, they really play well off of each other, and you can see how those activities also kind of intersect and they build off of each other. And so I think that, you know, the approach that June laid out there in terms of the research methods is really particularly strong. So thank you, June. Excellent job. So Austin, Carissa, if you want to draw straws.
I'm good with whatever.
Okay, go for it. Austin, you're up. I'll call it. I drew the straw.
Okay.
Do you
It's
want
not- I have to redo my preferences real quick, so might be.
okay, Carissa, do you want to go
Yeah.
then?
Yeah.
Do you prefer I can either pull up your presentation or if you want to share screen?
I should be able to share my screen with the most recent. If
Okay.
Okay. So, hi everyone. I'm Carissa. For my project, I am looking at environmental justice issues in my community, which is Cranston, Rhode Island. So Providence County has a few different cities and towns made up of it. The total population of Providence County is 638,000 people, with 1 point decimal of people per million people in all of Rhode Island. I was looking at socioeconomic status and environmental justice. So I also looked at some of the poverty rates in our county and state, with 14% of all Rhode Island residents defined as living in poverty, which is based off of the amount of household residents and their income. So go over a lot of that in obviously my proposal, but for terms of my research questions, like I said, the relationship between socioeconomic status and specifically access to public transportation. So I'll talk about that in the next slide of how that fits in with environmental justice. But in terms of the research questions that I was looking at, how can community participation along with the organizational partnerships that already exist lead to increased access and use of public transportation in Rhode Island? And how can we educate community members and advocate for environmental justice issues? So my overall goal is to have a greater sense of community empowerment and engagement among low-income residents in Providence County, low income because of poverty and socioeconomic status. But of course, in grander scheme, if we weren't to just focus on one, it would be of all the residents. But for the purpose of the assignment, specifically people experiencing poverty. So for environmental justice, to kind of give an overview of anyone who's maybe not familiar with that specific term, it is a broader topic which can kind of include, I found some research defining it as environmental racism and environmental classism. And it's the idea that different racial and socioeconomic groups experience differential access to environmental quality. So really environmental justice includes inadequate access to healthy food, inadequate transportation, environmental pollution, and income inequality, which is obviously a very broad topic, and why I chose to specifically look at inadequate access to transportation. And of course, for those of you who are familiar with either have lived in poverty or just research or have a lot of experience, you know that it's not necessarily one issue, which is why it's racial and socioeconomic, they're not exclusive of each other. The social research method I chose is participatory action research, like many of you all. Some of the questions I included, even for the original interviews, were if you use our Rhode Island Public Transit Authority system, known as the RIPTA, which is our public bus system. Rhode Island's very small and really accessible. You can get from the tip to tip of the state in about an hour. So really the public bus is our main form of public transportation. We have train system that goes into the New England region and airports, but in terms of public transportation, it's mostly the bus rather than a subway or anything. And also looking at changes the community members think would enhance or improve their RIPTA experience. And a lot of keywords that came up were obviously public transportation, environmental justice, sustainability, and poverty. And yeah, I wasn't sure if I had one more slide in there or not, but that is all.
Excellent. Thank you, Carissa. Especially appreciate the how you were defining environmental justice of how important that is, that we're considering both race and class, and it's astonishing how much that gets separated. An example, at least here in the US, there was a big debate after Hurricane Katrina in 2005. There was all this is about race, it was about class. It was kind of one of the first times of really the environmental justice movement kind of articulating very clearly that you cannot separate these two. That's intimately connected. And so really appreciate kind of using that as your framing and driving force for your work.
Yeah, and I don't think I know, because I've always been like interested in environmental, but a lot of for the research, like even with Hurricane Katrina, for being like so young, you don't really realize that, or at least in like my privileged educational experience, it wasn't, that's what we weren't taught. It was mostly the focus of like sustainability, recycling, and it's been really interesting, especially with using the other resources, to find out like there actually has been a lot of research already done about this, and we just don't, it's not widely accessible. So especially in the US, it's very very alarming to know, to like not know that we don't know about it.
And that, yeah, and that gap you just pointed to, right? The accessibility is critical. If, you know, if there's information on this, but it's not flowing to the public and it's not accessible to an average citizen, it's not worth a whole lot. And thinking about that in all of your own research as well, right, becomes really critical. And that's why I harp on, you know, this full cycle of the research of, it's not just, you know, what do you do after that engagement still continues, as to how you're both communicating the information to the communities you're working with, how you're sharing not just the results, but the data itself, that the data remains owned by the community, that they can still continue to use that that's their knowledge, that's their information. And so, you know, what you just shared, you know, really points to also the importance of making that information continually accessible to people. Thank you for that. Let's go over, we have last but not least, Austin. Oh, good, Fabian's man. All right, Austin, over to you, yay. That looks good.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to get unmuted.
Yeah, that looks
so
good.
I did my presentation, or I did my social research on collaborative work in the area in Spartanburg, which is where I don't live in Spartanburg City, but I do a lot of work in the city. So our city, the city of Spartanburg, is it's about 40,000 people, and it is quickly growing. It's in the past been more of a rural city, but it's definitely the economic boom in the area has definitely created a rising amount of economic and community development. I mean, buildings are going up everywhere. There's a lot of social engagement going on. And one of the things I've seen is that there's several main community, I would say, conveners that kind of bring community together. So the Spartanburg County Foundation, it's a local foundation that funds a lot of nonprofits in our area. They have a lot of community work that happens together. They do things together. United Way, and actually the healthcare system is also one of the big conveners because they do a lot in the upstate. But I've been seeing a growing divide between those with resources and those who don't have a way to access the benefits of what's going on. So there's in a way being kind of left in the dust. So I decided to interview someone that does a lot of that convening. I learned pretty quickly I guess the realities of research when my first two the people I was going to interview fell through. But hopefully I'll be able to work with them in the future too and engage. The person I did interview is actually a community events professional with the healthcare system. Specifically, she does a lot of convening with senior adults and trying to get them engaged in Spartanburg. And obviously it's a healthcare system, so there's a lot of discussion around health and things like that. But there's also an attempt to engage them with different parts of the city and not just do like events on what ails them. So that's something that I've noticed. And the reason why I interviewed this person was that she does a lot of work with those different conveners that I've seen are helpful in bringing Spartanburg together around building the community for everyone. So my research question originally was, how can the city of Spartanburg effectively utilize public parks? But again, in my research, in my interviewing, I kind of let the concerns of the person I interviewed take over, not and necessarily try to like keep my specific question. So I changed it to more of, how can the organizations and citizens of the city of Spartanburg create a culture of collaboration that works to decrease this gap of resources I've been seeing that have presented itself. And so I felt like that still integrated the use of public parks, public spaces, but created more of a broad understanding of what the community itself felt was the way to bring people together. And so that's kind of how I changed my research question. And I'm realizing that's probably going to be need to be narrowed a little bit too. Some of the obstacles that I have identified, especially going forward with some of this work, is there are so many different collaborative works going on. There's faith-based work, there's a lot of youth development, and we're focused on seniors. So that I may need to a little bit get more specific with do I need to focus on one area, just because collaborative work in a city can go on for, I could be searching for many years for things going on. So I am working on like narrowing that focus and trying to identify one focus, and then maybe scaling that to other things too. So one thing I have really found too, and that is that it's really easy to interview and find individuals to talk to that have the resources, because they're in the meetings, they're in the collaboration, they're involved. And so one of the goals I have and is to identify the people that the nonprofits, these groups are not really meeting with, because they don't have the resources, they don't have the money, typically they don't have a voice. And that's actually some of my next steps, are doing some more walks in some of the different areas and doing some more observations, and then interviewing individuals in the community that are not necessarily focused on a lot of times for these projects, and doing that through the community gatekeepers. So specific people in the neighborhood associations, community centers are a big thing in our area, places of worship. So, and then focusing more on some of the neglected communities that have less of a voice often in those communities, or in the discussions. So that's where I'm at right now.
Excellent. Fantastic work, Austin. I think especially what you shared in how your research question evolved, and that's just such an important approach of, sometimes, I know we've talked about the hardest thing can be to kind of let go of this, question we've worked to develop, and like, this is it. And then, you demonstrated how to really, by having conversations, right, with folks, that through that process of really listening and engaging and reflecting back and letting that then really shape the work, and showing what an iterative process that is. And so I especially appreciated, that approach, and, and showing that it continues to evolve, right? Even when you get there, and then it's okay, I'll probably need to keep honing this as I go. And so that's a fantastic demonstration, right, of this very participatory approach of how we're listening becomes very critical, and being an active listener, and then reflecting that in the work itself. Fantastic job. Okay, so I think Fabian, are you with us? Oh, yes, I could hear you. Are you up for presenting today?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Can you share for me, please?
So I didn't see your visual on the on Moodle.
I posted.
Did you post since yesterday? Let me hear. I'm going in real quick right now. I'll get it in just one moment. Let's see. Okay. Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. I think it was after I checked. Awesome. Okay, let me open this up. And this? Okay. I'll share my screen here in just a moment. Okay, so you can tell me when to move ahead.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. You can move, please. My sin and security is a phenomenon which will ravage the population and paralyze almost all the sector of the national life in Haiti. And since the main perpetrator of act of crime and banditry are young people, I therefore decided to focus my research on this phenomenon, that is insecurity. And I chose the place of Quadabucat to center my research because it's a place that it's recently I used to go there work, and I have friend there, and now that is a place that people can go to, and that is a, as they call it, a a non-white place. I chose this place to do my research in a way to highlight the phenomenon, and that because uh, that is one of the area of Haiti where the population is very young, and I think that this research can help authorities to see that in order they can use these young people as a force to for the country instead of letting them um, doing things like criminality and banditry. You can move it, please. Uh, Once again, can you get back for a second, please? Yeah, my research question is, what are the causes of sudden rise in violence and criminality in the region of Kwarebuke? And what is the consequences of this frightening and overwhelming in the future of the young people of in this community? Next, please. To introduce the area of Kwarebuke is a municipality of Haiti. It's located 12 kilometers in the northeast of Port-au-Prince, which is the capital of the country, and it is in the West Department. Kwarebuke has a population of 249,628 people. Its density is 393 square kilometers per inhabitant. And the distribution of the population following like this, 34.5% of the population are under 5 years old, 61.5% are aged between 15 to 64 years, and the others are in from 65 to over, represent 4% of the population. The main activities is agriculture and animal husbandry, and they used to work with metal to do artwork, and that is something that is bring a lot of tourism or tourists in the area. Next. The reason why I use Kwarebuke for my study is because Kwarebuke was known as an area of tourist attraction where it was really good to visit, and the young people use iron, as I said, to make beautiful piece of art. Um, Usually all the people that came to Haiti, the main place that they want to visit, because it's where they could buy souvenir, where Kwadebuke. And today the area is where people can go, because the most fear armed group um, stay in this place, and they call it the lawless area. And according to the national police, the majority of thieves, rapes, assassination, and kidnapping orchestrated in the country are doing by the gang, which is located in Kwarebuke. And I think that because what Kwarebuke was in the past, and as I used to work with them, I know that the young people there is one day want to have a have a future and to participate in the development of the country. Even if all the country has banditry now, I use this area to make sure that I can highlight what is happening now, and help people to better understand it and see what they can do to stop this problem. Next. This picture show that the first picture show that what they can do with a piece of iron. They can do flowers, statues, and a lot of things. And all the people, stranger that used to come there to visit or to buy things, and this economic activity was very interesting for them. And now, because of the banditry, they have to close all those things, because people can not go there. And I use this picture to show what it was. Next, please. And this is a picture I remember I was there, where there is some exchanger and young people there used to show them Haitian dance. And it was, as you can see in the face of the people, it was like all the people were very happy to learn from the community. And that is the reason I put this picture on the to show what it was. Next. That is to a quick overview of of what it is globally in Haiti when we talk about insecurity, because this is a social phenomenon that has different faces. And we can say that we have insecurity, social insecurity, food insecurity, economic insecurity, and a lot of things. And what we can see in what is happening now is like because of the poverty and slum creation in a lot of neighborhood. And we see like a new form of insecurity that we never seen before. And that is a kind of thing, as we see as we see the behavior of the government, of the social and the social movement. We see we say that is what is happening now is just the type, is just the type of the iceberg. And what is behind, we do not seeing yet. And it's very important to highlight the proliferation of harm gang between the young people, and to put the light on what is happening, because the lack of school and where young people can learn and trade, and the lack of opportunity to build something for the future, push the young people to choose the only alternative that they can choose, which is to join a gangster group. Next, please.
About 1 more minute.
This is one of the picture of the gang Ben, and the other picture is where the gangster feel such powerful that they use social media to give conference to say people you don't and you can't go outside, and that is just to show how they feel powerful. Next, please. I chose this the significance of the study is like to asking certain question and to initiating good action and to change the trajectory that we have now, and especially in disadvantaged neighborhoods, so that they are able to take they are able to help young people to take the win of the country and pave the way for the future generation, and set up action that can change the life condition of the underprivileged neighborhood, particularly in Kwadebuke. Next, please. I think like the way that the insecurity affect the economy, disrupt the peace of mind of the people, and mortgage the future of the young people. This phenomenon is one of the things that is becoming a major issue of insecurity policy. I think that this study can highlight the underside of this state of affairs, and I hope that it will allow the authorities to better meet the security requirement of the moment, and they can set up program that can offer a more promising future to the young people who are still recovering. Next. The challenge that I meet in the process is like people in Kwadebuke doesn't want to participate because they are very scared of the gang, and they don't want, if they participate on the process, they see them as people who betray them, or people who give information that can help police or other people to find them where they are, and it's very difficult to reach the area too. And then it's with all that happened in the country, it is very impossible to plan anything, so that it's impossible to have a timetable of activity that I can follow. Next, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fabienne. And what you shared there is just such a critical example of what it looks like of doing social research, as this real call to action. And that, especially at the end, that the challenges you articulated, where this, it's really kind of where that rubber hits the road, in the sense where here is the work that needs to be done, and then in the context of what's happening, here are the barriers to actually being able to do that. But in recognizing that, and then being able to map out, so where are kind of those allies and those partners in different kind of various quarters that can help really tie this together. And I think what you're pointing to in a lot of ways shows the importance of some of that grassroots collaboration that's needed, because not one person, right, is going to be able to kind of infiltrate around to take that on. And so demonstrating also the kind of engagement of finding where those folks are doing that kind of common work, and to try to form some of those alliances to be able to really put forward this call that you're addressing, even within the challenging context that you find yourself. So I deeply appreciate what you shared and the work that you're doing. And to everybody, that was fantastic. It was awesome to finally get to hear a little more and learn a little more from each of you of what you're proposing. And, you know, as I've said, that I've really hoped that this was, you know, not wanting this to be just an assignment for a course, that you're really looking for, you know, how to continue carrying this work forward. And please know, just because yeah, this term is ending, I would love to, you know, stay abreast of, you know, work that you're continuing to pursue in this, the research that you're continuing to pursue. Please reach out anytime, and we can connect. And I know most of you will still be, you know, continuing through on future generations, and we can certainly, you know, be in touch over if, you know, if it is an interest to see how you might be able to do some of this work for, you know, I know I'd mentioned a few weeks ago possibilities they're looking at as to kind of, you know, what it might look like to have credits around doing, you know, more engaged research project, and having, you know, a course period to really be going through that work. And so, you know, if that remains a continued interest to be able to pursue this. So I do hope that you will continue to pursue what you're proposing. This is good work to be done. And I am definitely here to, please, you know, feel free to reach out and let me know how it's going, or, you know, want to touch base and just need another set of ears or eyes on something. I'm definitely here. And I wanted to just a couple logistic things real quick, the less fun things. So if you haven't yet submitted like your written project proposal, please do so immediate as soon as possible, as well as the learning e-portfolio. And again, the only new thing on that learning e-portfolio is that summary reflection. The rest is kind of the package of from the work you've done through the course. And if it's easy, you know, whatever is easiest for you. I know some people, you know, put it on Mahara, some did Moodle, some emailed, whatever mode is easiest for you. So if it's easier to put on Mahara, upload it on Moodle, or you can email it to me directly. And then just a reminder to be getting in any missed assignments. I've now uploaded your participation grades, because that was a lot of what you've done through the course. And so I just wanted everyone to have that on hand, but I'll of course continue to revise it, you know, if more assignments are submitted. And for kind of the drop date for things, so the final, any final missing work. So I was checking in on the dates, and I don't actually have to submit the final grades till June 18th. So 2 weeks from today. So that means any missing work, to still receive some credit, you absolutely have to have it submitted by June 14th. Will be the very last day. And just to note, timing's a little awkward, because I'm gonna be offline next week. So if you do have a question on anything, for getting anything in, please send me a message today or tomorrow, if at all possible. And then please, I would suggest just getting it in ASAP and not waiting to the 14th, because that's going to come up real fast as well. So I do suggest getting that in. And just kind of one final thing, I know we're just about out of time here, but just really wanted to, you know, thank everyone kind of for your time and your emotional energy and engagement these past few weeks and months together, especially. You know, I know that many are going through numerous intersecting crises, and you know, considering what's happening at your homes, and, you know, just much appreciation for the efforts that you do put in, and the resilience that you demonstrate, and that kind of grit to continue on. So please don't be strangers during this. Stay in touch. And I hope that you're all able to take a little breath after this and kind of breathe in, you know, what you've accomplished this term and other coursework, and that you continue to have your FGU community here for you. And so with that, I hope everyone, I would like to hear if just anyone would like to share real quick, what is kind of your key takeaway from this course over the past term?
I'd like to share, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone that's participated in this course, because it's exposed me being here in a bottled place of the world to a larger consciousness. We've got people from Bhutan, we've got people from Rhode Island, we got people from West Virginia, we got people from Korea, we got people from everywhere. And it's amazing to me that the thinking that I'm doing and I'm just setting out is also paired and paralleled in other places. And that makes me feel part of a community. It makes me feel hopeful for the future. And so I feel very grateful for that. It's an isolating experience living in the West, which is where I lived most of my life. And take away from the course would be for me that a lot of this thinking can now be paired with action. And that's the key for me. Thinking academically, working at things like research proposals, which are very, very difficult. I find it very challenging, but also pairing it up with the real work, which is to make these things launched and become real.
Absolutely. And that's what, and that's what the purpose of this course. Thank you so much for that, Robert. And, for this course, but also for, I think for future generations overall, right, is that everything we're doing is actionable, right? That it's applied. And it goes back to even, Chris's point earlier, there's all this research floating around, and what's the use if it's not accessible, if it's not being shared, if it's not being circulated, if it's not packaged in a way that you can really use and apply. And so, I hope you carry that through any of the coursework you're doing here, right? That it is very much about, some of it is learning some of those theories, maybe, and some of the background context behind certain things, but that to further the engagement and to further the application. And that is critical at the end of the day. Dorji.
Yes, I have a question. Okay, it's about the assignments that we have submitted, because it's very difficult to know whether you have submitted all the assignments, because as far as I'm concerned, I have submitted all the assignments, but then sometimes not knowing whether you actually the assignments you have submitted actually got to you is very difficult to understand. Because I remember during the last semester when we had this course of seed scale, we had this Rosie who was actually reminding us and telling us these are the assignments that are submitted and these are the assignments we have not submitted. So she gave us a final call for the assignments which are not submitted. So I was just thinking, is there any way that we can know from you?
So yes, absolutely. So the reason, and I should have made that clear, the reason you don't know, Dorji, is because you had submitted yours. And so a couple of weeks ago, I messaged everyone who was missing assignments and kind of outlined what folks were missing. So my apologies if you didn't get an email, then you were good to go. I should have articulated that. So sorry about that. And for anyone still missing anything, what I did, and thank you for bringing that up actually, because I meant to mention that with the participation grades. What I did was in Moodle, when I marked your participation grades, I just did this last night. So if you get a chance to look, in the comments is where I put, if there's a comment that indicates any of those participation components that you're still missing. So if nothing's marked there, like you're good to go. So following up from a lot of folks, I sent you an email a couple of weeks ago, just kind of outlining this is what you're missing. If you didn't receive an email, you got it in. So I'm sorry, I should have conveyed that. But then now where it is so I've gone through and seen what's been submitted since then. So just a couple of the things still missing for your participation parts are in the comments with your participation grade. But if anyone has any questions about that, please, just send me a note. And otherwise, folks are pretty good to go. What I was going to do was after today, kind of see what gets submitted by the end of today. And then I'll be letting anyone know if you have any outstanding assignments outside of all those participation assignments, a lot of your assignments over the course, like all the forums, the questions, all of that was packaged under the participation. If after today you have any lingering things like the project proposal, your learning portfolio, any quizzes, those things, if by the end of today, I'm going to see, you know, I know some folks had let me know they're still submitting things today. So what I'll do is by tonight, see what's been submitted. And then I'll follow up with you if you do have any of those kind of major things left. And if you don't receive a message from me, then you're good to go. I'm sorry, I totally missed articulating that before. So yes, excellent question. And so with thank you, Amar. It has been wonderful to engage with you, and I've just been so appreciative of everyone here, and it is truly phenomenal to this is a pretty unique experience, I think, to be able to share and engage with folks coming from all corners of life in the world, and pulling us all together to see a lot of those common experiences, and also honoring those differences. And just greatly appreciated all the efforts that have been put in. So please, if you have any questions with those, you know, kind of last assignments, please let me know. Otherwise, I will be hearing from you hopefully pretty soon here. All right, take care, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you so much.